Number one is simple to me. Bridges in San Ramon probably takes the top spot when it comes to newer homes in San Ramon. Why? Purely because of its location. I used to live down the street from Bridges, and it's right off of Bollinger, close to the 680 freeway, close to a lot of retail shopping, and really just centrally located. From my experience, and I've sold homes in Bridges, most of them, or at least a good amount of them, have usable backyard space. So you're not tightly crammed with a little back patio. You actually have a decent sized yard, and some of the homes have golf course views if that's something you're interested in. One small downside that I know people like about other communities is that Bridges doesn't have a ton of community parks. But when you compare Bridges to the other communities, it is much smaller in scale. Bridges still does have a couple community parks that are within a walking distance from almost anywhere you could live within Bridges. They're just not as big, not as new, not as nice, and doesn't have as much going on as some of the neighboring communities. Now, going back to location again and why I like Bridges so much, it's close to Safeway, Trader Joe's, the Bishop Ranch City Center, Central Park, which is like the big main hub park in San Ramon, and really just about everything else. Homes in Bridges range in the about 1.6 million to 3.5 million, sometimes maybe a little bit more for the really big homes that have large lots. Square footage for the housing within Bridges is roughly that 1,700 square foot range on the low end, upwards of about 5,000 square feet for the biggest home you could get within Bridges. If you're familiar with San Ramon at all, you know about Bollinger Canyon Road, which is the main road that runs alongside the Bridges golf course, past Bridges, the community, and into Gale Ranch and Windermere and all of that stuff. Bridges actually has two parts of the community, one located on the north side of Bollinger and one located on the south side of Bollinger. So if you're looking in either of those communities, both of those are considered Bridges. Now, number two on my list is Norris Canyon Estates. Now, Norris Canyon is the highest price point community on this list. Norris Canyon is a gated luxury community with home sizes in the 3,000 to 5,000 square foot range, and pricing for those homes land in the $2.5 to about $4 million range. Now, Norris Canyon is not centrally located. It is pretty far out from just about anything, and when I say far out, it's not like 30-45 minutes. You're maybe 10 or 15 minutes away, but still, all things considered, it is on the outskirts of San Ramon and offers a more private feel with really low car traffic. Now, if you drive through Norris Canyon, you will notice that maybe 30 to 40% of the homes offer amazing, unrestricted, sweeping views of the valley, which is awesome. And a lot of those homes actually have pretty flat, usable backyard space, so that's amazing. Now, on the other side of the street, a lot of those homes tend to have smaller backyards and large hill grades in the back. So keep that in mind when you're looking. Obviously, I'll show you a couple photos here for reference. So that is something to take into account. Now, some people don't really care or have different wants and needs, but it is important to note that the side that doesn't have the views tend to have less usable flat yard space, although on a bigger lot, large grades. The other side tends to have much more flat backyard space with really nice views. And of course, pricing is going to differ between the two property types and what kind of views or backyard space you get. Now, Norris Canyon does not have a golf club associated to it. It is not a country club, but it is a private gated community. So anybody who likes that privacy, who doesn't like a lot of car traffic, wants to be kind of on the outskirts of town without being super far out, Norris Canyon might be the perfect community for you. Now, number three and last on my list is going to involve two communities because they're very similar to one another. Now, those two communities are Gale Ranch and Windermere. Now, Windermere and Gale Ranch both have newer homes, all built within the last 20 years. They're very close to the public schooling, within a 5 or 10 minute drive to all of the schools, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school. It also has a ton of really nice, new, big parks associated to both of these communities. So as you go through Windermere and Gale Ranch, There's a ton of parks all the way around in all of the little sub-communities, which is really, really cool. And they're both really close to shopping, kind of similar to Bridges, although if you're driving to Windermere and Gale Ranch, you actually pass Bridges on the way. So if Bridges is more west of Windermere and Gale Ranch, Windermere and Gale Ranch is probably an extra 5 to 8 minutes east of Bridges. The one downside to the homes in Gale Ranch and Windermere, and something I have heard from clients, is that the yard space in a lot of these homes is almost non-existent. It's very, very small, and the homes are tightly packed together. So if you do not want neighbors super, super close to you and you do not like a really small backyard space, then Windermere and Gale Ranch might not be the community for you. Although some of the properties here in the higher price point do offer pretty generous backyard space. So it just depends on what price point you're in and exactly what you want. Also important to note in these communities is the property taxes. Now, Windermere has a much higher property tax rate of about 1.75%, but if you live in a single family home here, you will not have HOA dues. On the flip side, Gale Ranch has a much more typical property tax rate, but does have HOA dues ranging somewhere in the $20 to $80 range, depending on what sub-community you live in within Gale Ranch. Now, the schooling associated to all three of these communities are all very, very good. San Ramon has some of the best rated public schooling in the nation, similar to Alamo, Danville, and Pleasanton as far as where the schools are rated. You can check all of that information out on greatschools.org and see for yourself as far as where they're ranked and how they are ranked. All in all, my favorite community out of these three is probably Bridges. Pricing is somewhere in the middle between Windermere and Gale Ranch and Norris Canyon Estates. But with that, you get close proximity to the 680 freeway. You're probably 5 to 7 minutes from that. So very easy to do and usable. You also have really close proximity to the Bishop Ranch City Center, which is an outdoor shopping mall with a movie theater, ton of restaurants, a turf field in the middle that the kids play in. It's an awesome, awesome place. Trader Joe's, Safeway, Whole Foods, Target, everything is right there. Now, to be fair, everything is pretty close by to all three of these communities, but Bridges as a whole package I like the most as far as the home design, the options with the sizing and the price point, the yard space, the options to have a golf course view or not, and all of those things. So that's why I like Bridges the most, but I would see for yourself. If you're not familiar with San Ramon, but you know you want to live here, take a drive-through tour of all three of these communities. Reach out to me directly. I'll give you addresses to reference so that you can drive to them and check them out. Norris Canyon is a gated community, so if you do need access or you have any interest in checking that out, maybe wait for an open house date on the weekend so the gate is open, or reach out to me and I'll preview a home with you, get you behind the gate, so you can check out the community. That's it. If you need help buying or selling a home, reach out to me directly. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.